Welcome back. In this video we will hook up everything so when you click on one of these chord buttons you will hear the chord. And to do that we will add a method to the sound engine. And let's call that play. It will take one argument and it'll take the sound sequence. And the sound sequence will be the array of the notes that we want to play. I'm just calling it sound sequence because maybe we want to add scales later on. Maybe we want to add intervals. So I could call it chord or chord note, but that would not be very descriptive. And we're going to do something in here. But first I want to scroll up here to the display chord info, because now we're not only going to display the chord info, we're also going to play it. So let's call display. I'm just gonna search and replace display chord info. Let's just call it display and play chord and delete the info. I will replace that here and I'll replace it here and save it. When you click the button, if we go up here to our event listeners, we have the buttons add event listener, and then we display and play chord. Then we run this method here and we display this one and we display this one. So what we want to take these and we want to put them into our sound engine. And we can do that right down here by calling sound engine, referring to this object down here, and play. And then we will pass it the chord notes. So let's go down here and see what the chord notes are. So I'll console log sound sequence. So when we click these we get the note names of the notes in that chord. We want to get the MIDI number for every single note. So as we had a look at before, we need to import the note from Tonal, the note method. So let's do that, because we want to get the MIDI value from that by passing in the note name. So let's see if that works. First of all, let me just remove this. There's no reason to send an empty string into that. So let's take the sound sequence that is passed into the play method. And let's run a for each on that. So sound sequence for each, and let's call it note. It's an arrow function. And what we're going to do here, we are going to use the note method that we just imported up here. Actually, we cannot use this one then. Let's call it note name instead. So let's run let's just console log. We want to console log the note name, but we also want to console log the MIDI value of that note name. So I'm going to take the note, and that is what we're importing from Tonal.js, and I'm going to pass it the note name, and then I'm going to get the MIDI value. So let's see if that works. I'm going to save it and click on one of them. And as you can see, we get from C1, that is number 24, F1 will be 29 and 31 and so on. We can try and change the note, and let's click on another one, and we get a different set of values. Let's try to change the octave, click on something, and we get something completely different. So it works, and all we need to do now is make a little array of the note numbers, the MIDI numbers of the chord. So let's do that. I'm gonna just add a couple of lines here. So let's create this constant and let's call it chord MIDI numbers. And let's take the sound sequence. Sound sequence. And then map over that. And let's call it the note name as we did before. And then let's just return note, and let's pass in the note name, and then get the MIDI property from that. That will put all of the MIDI numbers into an array. Then we can take this one and we can just reuse this down here, this example I used before. So instead of doing that, let's call it note MIDI number instead. I'm just going to try and console it. Console log note MIDI number to see what we get. And we do get some numbers here. So it looks like it's working. But instead of console logging, let's just play the sound. So this is how we do that. We want to take sound, we want to play it, and then we want to, for each and every single MIDI number in this array, we want to play it. So I'm going to take the MIDI number, or note MIDI number as it's called, and I am going to, remember we need to use it as a string, so I'm just going to run it to string on it, and then that should work. So let's see if it works. Let me just do this, and let's try this. Something's going on. It's very loud though. Let's try and change the note and the octave to the fourth. So it's working pretty well. There are probably a few things that we need to fix because it's always like that, but so far so good. We built this thing. I can't believe it. Are we done? Oh no. Yeah, we're gonna have a few problems here. Because if you start all the way, remember we only have notes all the way up to the C7, so we only have the 6th octave. So there's no, what would happen if I click on this one? Nothing. There's no sound. And in the 6th octave, there's one note only. So we need to remove some of these octaves. And I have done a little research, and some of these chords are really, they span over many notes. So if we just go ahead and type 4 here instead, then we will only be able to select all the way up to the 4th octave, and that's better. Another thing is when you play a lot of notes at the same time, the volume sounds really distorted and it doesn't sound really good. So I want to just take the sound just before we do anything with it here. I want to turn down the volume before the for each loop here. So I'm going to take sound and I'm going to run volume on it, and then I'm going to pass in the volume. Let's just use 75%, so that's 0.75. So let's try this again, and the volume is a little bit lower now. So now you can have fun with this. And there are many different things you can do with this. We can also try to add scales to it. Obviously, we don't want to have scales played harmonically at the same time. That would sound weird. We could also have chords played ascendingly and descending. And yeah, there are many different ways we can do. We can do chord inversions, and the sky is the limit. So let me know what you come up with if you play around with this. And I might add another video where we do some cool stuff. Maybe I'm gonna add scales to it. Maybe I'm gonna add ascending and descending mode for the sound engine, so you can play them going up and going down and things like that. But this is how you can make a chord dictionary, a chord player with JavaScript, Tonal.js, and Howler. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then please leave a comment, like the video, and please subscribe. See you soon.